Yo, YouTube, what it do? All right, thank you for your patience. Had to change a couple things around here to get chat going, all this fun stuff. So I appreciate you coming and joining me on this stream. What I'm going to be talking about is the different types of plumbing jobs out there, what jobs are the right fit for you, which ones are going to get you the most money and benefits. For any of you looking at becoming a plumber, if you've done any research, looked at jobs, you know that there's a lot of different plumbing jobs out there. It can be very overwhelming, especially depending on where you're at, your location. But personally, from what I found, doesn't matter what city or what location you're in, there's a ton of companies that are hiring, big and small. Some that just do residential, some that do commercial, some that do a little bit of both. Even got industrial in there as well too. All depends what kind of route you want to go for. The way I look at it is, do you want a more easier going job where maybe you take a little bit less pay but good benefits, or do you want a harder job where you get more pay and probably still some decent benefits but maybe not as much? But really, that's going to be dependent on you and your skill set. So bear with me one moment as I get this together. Feel free to drop something in the chat. Let me know if you got any questions, or if you want, give me your insight on what you found with plumbing, or if you are a plumber, it'd be great to hear about it. The main thing I always tell people, though, when they're looking at plumbing jobs is find somebody that's going to take care of you. Plumbing by far is not easy at all, and it's going to be extremely hard on your body. And the last thing you want to do is work for a company that does not respect and value your work ethic and that just wants to use you as a tool. And as soon as you're used up, they get rid of you. You know, we've all worked for companies like that. There's plenty of them out there. Let's see here. All right. The ones that are going to work out the best for most people in terms of pay, benefits, job schedule are going to be some of the larger companies. So think about like the Mr. Rooters, Rotor Rooters, Ben Franklin. Who else is out there? God, we got a couple. Oh, H-Jacks. It's another one. Any major corporate plumbing company, generally they're going to take care of you pretty well, and you're going to be on the higher end of the pay scale. The way this works as well, too, when it comes to the pay for them, is you're paid based off of sales, and you get a commission based off of that. So, like, I've worked with plumbers where, they might make 20%, but they're required to, sell about $5,000 worth of jobs a week. Well, pretty basic math, that's $1,000 a week or $52,000 a year for you. In those same companies, I've worked with people where, they'll end up getting a bonus of 25%, but they'll do sales of 10,000, 15,000 a week, sometimes more. You can sell a single sewer for $20,000 pretty easily. If you get 20, 25% of that, you're making 120,000 a year easily. And there's a lot of people that are doing that. And their schedule is not even that bad. They go out and sell jobs. They don't even have to do the work. So those are typically the type of companies I'm going to look out for if I want higher pay scale. And they have the money too in order to give you benefits. Typically, you're going to get health care. You'll get 401k. You might even get some sort of retirement plan, depending on what you put in. The ones that you might get a little bit less pay from are going to be like your mom and pop shops or your smaller plumbing companies. Unfortunately, because there's not a lot of plumbers out there, we tend to get overworked at the mom and pop shops. And usually you're paid by the hour there. Normal wages for our country too are, we got to be right around like 30 to 32 an hour for a good qualified plumber. And so you're not getting that commission, you're getting that hourly pay, but that still comes to about 60,000 a year. So you're quite a bit above the average pay for here in America. But you might not get as much benefits with those kind of companies because they're trying to climb that ladder and get bigger and bigger. And, if they're paying you all these benefits, they can't grow as a company. that was one thing that I experienced with the small company that I worked for. They were absolutely amazing, but they had a really hard time trying to come up with the benefits for us. We didn't get health care, we didn't get paid time off, no vacation, none of that stuff. And some people would say I'm crazy for working that kind of job. But at the same time, with that type of job and as much as I worked, I learned a lot more there than I was learning at the larger companies. Because those larger companies, they're going to find your skill set for the most part and kind of keep you in there. If they'll keep you as like the sewer guy, or they might have you as just the water heater person, or if you do faucets and things like that, like the general plumbing stuff, they're going to kind of keep you in that realm there. Whereas the small mom and pops, you're going to have to do all of it. You'll be doing the drain cleaning, you'll be doing the sales, you'll be doing water heaters, fixing faucets, all that stuff. But it will make you a more well-rounded individual when it comes down to it. The nice thing about both of these companies, for the most part, is they want qualified people to work for them. So most of the time, they're going to pay for you to go to school, especially the big companies. Typically, it's not hard to talk them into paying for you to go to like Associated Builders and Contractors, which is a vocational school. You can do the 4-year plumbing course, and it won't even cost you anything. When it comes to workload, is where it really comes in that, if you're working for those larger companies, your workload probably is not as hectic. Yeah, you're going to have to work. You're going to have to do the typical type of plumbing tasks, but you're not going to be worked as hard if you're working for a smaller company that doesn't have the resources to bring additional people in to do work or tap you out if you're stuck late doing something. Those bigger companies have those resources. They can send additional techs out to give you a hand. It's not going to hurt them too much. It's more money on their books. The smaller companies, they might not have that manpower that's going to be able to get them through those kind of jobs. So typically you get stuck late, that kind of stuff. And you work quite a bit harder because you're making up for those people that they haven't been able to hire. Like I said, it all comes down to what you're willing to put in. And I would say if you want to get the most out of it and you want to become the best plumber possible, you go for the mom and pop shop and you work for trying to get benefits. You work for trying to get those pay increases, because the bigger companies, they're going to find you easily replaceable. But those small mom and pops, you can really climb up that ladder if you're willing to put in the work. As one thing I missed was that small mom and pop company that I worked for. I did a lot of hard work for them, but I learned so much. It's incredible. Like, it really put me above and beyond everybody else in my field. By far the best learning experience I had, because that larger company I worked for, when I was at Mr. Reuter, I was learning a little bit, but they didn't want to put me in different positions. They didn't want me to grow bigger with the company. They just wanted me in that one spot, and that was it. So definitely take that into consideration. Now, when it comes to actually finding these jobs, they are all over the internet, between Facebook. What's the big one? I can't even think of them anymore. I haven't looked for a job in years. But any job search engine, Indeed, Monster Jobs, that was the one I'm thinking of. You can find plumbing jobs on there. You're going to have big companies, small companies, all that kind of stuff. You can reach out. Working for the city, if you can become a plumber at your city, that's also a great job. And those are easy to get as well, too, because all the older gentlemen are retiring out of there. So they're looking for younger people to replace them. And it's as simple as, in the city you live in, if you just Google search the building department for your city and call up and say, hey, I'm looking for a plumbing job. Are you guys hiring, or a similar position to that? You might unionize, but they're going to pay the best benefits, and you're going to have a lighter workload too, because the city doesn't do a whole lot. You're not going into homes and doing service. You're kind of just sticking with their buildings. That's a cushy job. I actually got one guy who's a good buddy of mine. He works for the city next to me where I live, and he's making like $40 an hour, and the dude's sitting there watching Netflix all day long. Like, it's a no-brainer right there, And he's getting full benefits. He gets like 3 weeks of vacation. He actually gets a pension through them, which is unheard of anymore. They're really taking care of him over there. So you Google search your building department, so you find a job. The other place you could go through is where I did my schooling at. They're called Associated Builders and Contractors. It is a nationwide vocational school. So they do plumbing, electrical, HVAC, they do boilers, and they also do carpentry for like building houses. They have all these classes, and they can set you up with people in their network who send their students and stuff there. They'll tell you, hey, this person like Mr. Reuter, they're always looking for somebody. Here's their information, yada, yada, yada. The other way, too, is to search the unions that are local to you. So, like for me, I'm in Cleveland, Ohio, best city on the map by far, right? Nobody is better than Cleveland. But I would do a Google search for local plumbing unions in Cleveland, and we have two major ones out here. And it's a simple phone call. You'll go down to the hall, you'll put in an application. And for most of these places, too, you don't need any experience. They will train you from the ground up. And the union is by far one of the best ones to get into as well, because they're going to give you a very light workload, because they're not allowed to overwork their people. They start getting complaints, and then they get in trouble from the heads up. You can't do that. But you will be working bigger commercial jobs, and that's okay. But they will put you with people in their network, and you're going to get the higher end of the pay scale, all the benefits. It's the union is one of the better ones to go to. They're going to put you through school for free, without a doubt, and you'll get licensed through them. Typically, you'll get a journeyman license after you're 4 years in, and then you can get a master license depending on your state, however long it takes to get up to that point. What's up, Killer Rob? How you doing, man? And like I preach in a lot of my videos too, finding a company, if you're unskilled, if you're not a licensed plumber, you don't have a journeyman, you don't have a master's, you got to find a company that's willing to pay for your school. And even though it's cheap, my school is like $2,500 a year for 4 years, but my company paid for it. Hey, I'm doing good, man. Nice to see you in here, dude. I appreciate you. What you doing these days? But if you can find a company that's willing to pay for your school and negotiate that with them too, like when I tell you, if you do a job search for plumbers, you're going to get overwhelmed, because every single company is looking for somebody right now, because there's not enough people my age, younger, or even in the middle that are getting into it. All the older people are retiring out. So you have the upper hand when it comes to negotiating contracts, negotiating pay, getting higher benefits, especially if you're a good, competent worker. If you know your way around a wrench and you can figure out how to work on stuff, you 100% have the upper hand above everybody on this. And especially if you're willing to put in the work. Because nobody wants to work nowadays. Nobody wants to actually put in the work. Nobody wants to go out here and do this. And that's why I'm out here making a killing. On the flip side of it, though, the difficult part about my side of the business is hiring people. It's very difficult hiring competent people. Like, I seriously, if I could find somebody who, like, let's say 4 or 5 years experience, knew what they were doing, I could put them in a van by themselves, I'd have no problem paying them $40 an hour. Starting off. And these companies have no problem doing that too, because they would just adjust their pricing. But jobs are everywhere. You're going to get overwhelmed. So use that to your advantage. Negotiate them paying for your school. Negotiate vacation time off the rip. Like, I had to wait 2 years at one of the companies before they would even consider giving me vacation. That's the past. You don't have to do that anymore. So make sure you go in there strong and negotiate these things. Negotiate for higher pay, negotiate those contracts, and get better benefits. Get a retirement that starts right away instead of having to wait 1 or 2 years before they start compensating you for that. And if they're not willing to do it, go to the next one, because there's 50 of them out there. Even if anybody is watching this and you're in a small town, they're doing even worse because all they have are handyman plumbers and no big companies, or they're calling companies from the big city next to you to come out and do their. If you're in a small town, like where I went to college and there's like 3 to 5,000 people living in that town, you can start your own business in a month and just be hitting. And who are they going to call? Because there ain't nobody out there. So even like I said, if you're in that small town and you're looking for those jobs, negotiate that. Because there's no reason to be out there working hard and not getting paid for it. Like I was saying before, it's very easy to make $60,000, $80,000, $100,000 a year as a plumber, and even above that. I said I got buddies who make over $100,000 a year, and all they do is sales. They don't even touch a wrench. They don't have to get dirty. They're not cleaning sewers. They're literally out there telling the customer, "Hey, this is what you need. This is what we're going to give you." And when they get paid on those books, man, it's money. I got another buddy who he's a plumber through CSX, which if that name rings a bell, they are like one of the major railroad companies out here. He's getting paid. His union package is $110 an hour. Now, mind you, they take a lot of expenses and things like that off of there for their benefits, some of their pay packages. So I think his really works out to, it was like $47 or $48 an hour. But I want you to tell me how many jobs you know of right now that you could go get where you're making $40 to $50 an hour. It's unheard of, you know? And the job security is there too. That's the biggest thing about it. You don't have to worry about going to a company and getting let go and not being able to find another job. My company knew, and I'll be honest, I was a big asshole at the company that I used to work for because I knew, well, if I get fired, I'll have another job by the end of the day. It takes 5 minutes. Go search a job. If I went up, who's hiring? I do a good job. I'm a hard worker. I know how to sell jobs. I know how to work on stuff. So honestly, it's a no-brainer for me. And I'm going to get the highest pay scale. When I first started, I was making $10 an hour at Mr. Rooter when I started back in like 2012. I started $10 an hour. By the time I left in 2019, no, it was 2021. Oh my God, we're getting old. When I left in 2021, I was making $32 an hour, but I was working like 50, 55 hours a week. So I was getting a lot of overtime with that as well too. Let me pull up my thing. So one of the major things I'm doing right now too is I'm actually, because you guys know, I'm trying to actually help out this community. I'm trying to get people interested in it and get people like, yeah, becoming a plumber actually wouldn't be a bad idea. So right now, one of the major things I'm working on is actually building up a list of vocational schools, ABC locations, excuse me, which is the Associated Builders and Contractors chapters, and going state by state and getting all this information that I could put in a package for people, whether it be free or I charge a few dollars for it, that I haven't decided yet. But I want to make it easier for people to be able to find schools, be able to find jobs, be competent when it comes to plumbing materials and that kind of stuff, and feeling comfortable with filling out a job application and being comfortable with applying for these jobs and not thinking that they're not worth it. So search those jobs. They're out there. I could go on Job Recruiter right now or whatever it is and pull up 100 different plumbing companies in Cleveland that are looking for plumbers and that are willing to pay good money. If you have no experience and you're just starting off, of course you're going to be on the lower end of that pay scale, but prove yourself. If you prove yourself to be a competent person, if you prove that you can work with tools and you can figure jobs out, or if you're personable and you can prove yourself on the sales side, you're going to move up that ladder so quick, it's going to be unreal. But if you're I'm going to tell you right now, and this is just keeping it real from man to man, if you're going to slouch, if you're going to be lazy, If you are not going to take your job serious, especially when it comes to aesthetics, like making your plumbing clean and actually caring about the customers, you're not going to do good. You have to have care for this stuff. Even though I know a couple plumbers who, honestly, I would not hire them to do work in my house because they half-ass everything. They still make pretty good money. But at the end of the day, they've closed a lot of doors. I would never hire them to come work for me. They've bounced around to every company in our city, so they're getting to a point where it's going to get hard for them to find jobs. But if you work hard, just like anything in life, you work hard, you put in the effort, you're going to do well. And I don't advise, excuse me, and I don't advise everybody on this, but if you have those skill sets of being personable, you're good at sales, you're good at figuring out jobs, you should be looking at opening up your own business as everybody, because the money completely changes at that point if you're willing to go that route. And if you're not, as cool, because at least you're going to have job security either way. And that'll open up for me to do another video in the future where if you want to have your own business, like I've started growing mine a little bit. I hired one person. I'm using special software to kind of keep track of my clientele and jobs. So we'll go into a whole nother video about that in the future. I'm not going to touch on that in this one. I really wanted to just focus on the jobs and finding jobs, where to look for them. Like I said, everywhere is hiring. Everybody's hiring. You can get great paid doing it. It's a no-brainer. And here's the thing too, even if you get into plumbing and do it for, like, let's say a year, and you decide, okay, this isn't for me. Maybe you want to become an electrician. Maybe you want to get into HVAC. Maybe you want to do carpentry. You have a skill set now because you would have learned something within that couple months or to a year. You now have a skill set you can always fall back on. So you'll never be without work. Let's say you decide to go from plumbing and maybe you just want to get into banking or finances or become a crypto trader, whatever it is you want to do. If you're ever hard up for money or if you ever need to work again, you can always just go back and do plumbing for a little bit and at least stack your money and do that next thing, or do it on the side. You get a couple buddies or, hire a couple people, just do some drain cleaning, do some service calls for you. You can build it up pretty quick, especially with a good reputation. In my research too, even the smaller states, they're all, it's crazy how many jobs are out there. People are always going to need plumbers. That's the thing. Like in one of my videos I talked about is we got all this automation going on. See, every day, McDonald's workers are getting replaced. Amazon workers are getting replaced. Truck drivers are getting replaced. This new Chat GPT thing that we have is replacing people on the internet that do stuff. Publishers, copywriters, all this. Nobody is taking plumbing or the trades away. There is not a robot in the next 100 years that's going to come out here and put a toilet in somebody's house. And the customer is going to feel good about that. It's not happening. No time soon. That job security is always going to be there. Now, if you want to be the person to design that robot and put me out of business, good luck. Have fun with that. All right. Let me grab. Sorry about a little bit. I'm going to see if there's anything else I want to get into on here in terms of finding jobs. Killer Rob, anything you want to know that I'm talking about? Anything specific? Want jobs, where to look, any of that stuff, even if it's still within the plumbing world, anything out of this topic, I'm cool to talk with you about it. Let's see what else I got on my list, though. All right. Kind of like what I touched on in the last one too, is if you're going to become a plumber and get into this and look for a job, there's a lot of different ones you can look at as well too, aside from just looking for a plumber position, we have warehouses where I have to go get my materials from. And I'm not like Home Depot, Lowe's, but similar where it's more plumbing specific. Those places are always hiring as well too. Now you're not going to get as much money as you would in the real plumbing field, but those type of jobs, you're working in a warehouse. Think about like Amazon. You're pulling orders all day, or you're up at a desk taking orders from somebody. Like I'm coming in and saying, "Hey, I need a trap. I need some 4-inch pipe," and you and your guys are back there grabbing materials for me. There's a lot of those jobs out there as well too. So if you don't want to get out there and get dirty and have to wrench on stuff or do things like that on a daily basis, you don't really want to deal with the customers and the sales aspect of it. Getting into the warehouse jobs are pretty lucrative as well too. Not going to get the best, but they do pay pretty good benefits. And you become familiar with a lot of those components that we use on a daily basis. And from there, you can still climb the ladder a little bit. You can go from like floor sales to warehouse to some of the guys who they'll go out and bid out jobs. So like when I get a big job, like this apartment building that I'm doing, if you've watched my videos, you've seen that fourplex that I'm working in. I didn't build out none of that. I didn't have to go to the store and order all the material. What I did was I took my blueprint sheet and I sent it into them. And then they came out and they bid all the materials in the job out for me. So you could be somebody like that in that position too, where, like I said, you don't have to touch anything. You just come out and you bid out the work for me. And typically you'll get compensated for that, whether it's hourly. You might get a little bit of commission based off of the sales. It just all depends how your package is set up with that company. And the other ones that are good companies to look out for too is if you've heard of like Rigid or Milwaukee, Stanley, Spartan, General V, Kyrie Cams. Guarantee for the most part, a lot of these companies are hiring. And these are all like our tool manufacturers. These are the ones who are making tools for plumbers, who are making our cameras, our jetting equipment, the things that we use on a daily basis. Those are great companies to work for as well too. And they're always going to be hiring as well, especially sales reps. One thing we used to get at that small company I used to work for was Rigid used to always send us a sales rep because we would buy like 3 cameras a year from them. Mind you, these cameras are like $12,000 a piece. So what they would do is anytime they got some new equipment or new technology, they would send their salespeople out to our job sites to test that new equipment or to show us like, hey, now we got this new monitor. It can do recording. You can stream it on your phone. We would get those people out there. Always clean, nice vehicles. You could tell that they're paid well. That's what it's outside of just the regular, like who thinks a plumber, you're going out working on a toilet, fixing sinks, cleaning sewers. There's so many other in-between jobs with that as well, too, that you should be looking out for. And don't limit yourself. Don't be afraid to try one job and bounce off to the next, because that's the way that you can help grow yourself and become more competent in this field. Like for me, I probably would have bounced around if I was stuck doing the same thing at one of those companies. There's a big reason why I left Mr. Rooter when I was working for them, because I was just doing one job and it got boring. It got repetitive. I need to be doing something different. I like the hustle and bustle of going to different houses on a daily basis, doing different jobs, different tasks. It's got my brain working a little bit, tired at the end of the day. I don't feel like I just stacked boxes or, flipped hamburgers all day. It's totally different feeling. You actually feel like you really did something. But I would have bounced around if I was doing the same thing and gone to different jobs and checked different things out in order to build and get those characteristics of a well-versed plumber. So don't be afraid of that. There's so many jobs out there. You can just bounce around. It's cool, but don't burn the bridges. Make sure you leave on a good note with companies. That's where I actually had to rebuild that bridge I was with at the last company, because they ended up having to fire me because I got a little bit too ballsy with them, and things just went left, and I was at the point where I was ready to leave. But luckily I was able to rebuild that bridge, and we now have a pretty good relationship. So make sure if you're going to bounce around to companies, make sure that you're leaving them well, because then if you ever need to go back, or you realize that, hey, that place actually has a pretty good package or a good job, good pay, you can always go back there and not have to worry about it. And when you think about how important plumbers are overall, it really gives you an idea of how great these jobs are and why there's so many of them out there. Because like I've talked about in some of my other videos, we deal with water lines, gas lines, storm sewers, sanitary sewers, sprinkler systems, pretty much anything that deals with water, gas, and sewage. Think about every time you use your sink or flush your toilet, or washing your hands, you cooking food, on a stove that has gas. A plumber put that stuff in. And that job is always going to be needed. So use your resources to look for these jobs. As soon as I've got my list built out, I'll be putting it up on one of my websites. I will be giving you all details on that too, so that you can look through it. I want to make it as easy as possible for anybody looking for a job. And I think that's pretty much that. I've touched on what I've needed to touch on tonight. That's Killer Rob. You're in here. My chat's a little quiet tonight. That's all right. As you can see, my time is limited, hence why I'm doing this on Sunday at 9:30 at night. 23, what's up, man? 21, 22, might be looking to become a plumber. I feel like it might be too late. Bro. Dude. I was 22 when I became a plumber. It's not too late. You could be 30 years old and still become a plumber. It's the best age to get into it because you're a little bit older, a little bit more mature. So this would be a great thing for you. But 23, you want to drop in and tell me a little bit about yourself. Like, what do you do? You fresh out of college, you work with stuff before. Like for me and my background, I used to work on cars, motorcycles, used to build go-karts. I was even fixing things in my grandma's house when I was like 14 years old. Which is why it was so easy for me to fall into it, because I had that background of already working on things. I kind of like doing that stuff. So I'd love to hear from you, man. If you want to drop in and fill in a little bit, I'll stick around for a little bit and see what you got for me. But 20, 21, 22, not too late at all, man. And I'm actually glad he brought that up, because there's really, I want to say there's no wrong age to get into plumbing. When you're hitting your mid 30s, getting into 40s, you probably, I wouldn't say steer clear of it, but at that point, that's probably more so when you want to get into like the sales position of it. You don't want to be 40 years old going out here and beating your body up. It's not going to work the same as when I was 20 years old and I was going out here and getting in ditches and digging up water lines and wrenching on stuff. And just your body does not operate the same when you get to be that age. Like me, I'm 33 now and my knees are starting to hurt a little bit. I got a little elbow, I gotta hit the gym a little bit though, man. It keeps you nice and fresh. But no, yeah, your body is not the same, especially after doing this for 10 years. I want to say the last time I looked at a statistic too on it, the average plumber, if you're like a service plumber doing all the hard work, wrenching on stuff, digging things up, the average lifespan of that plumber's body is 15 to 20 years. And then you get to a point where it just doesn't become feasible for you anymore. So that's where you want to really learn as much as you can and hone in on those skills to where you can either get into a sales position or, move up to administration and things like that. It's really important that you try to work yourself in the future into that position, which is also why I started my own company, because I knew I would get to the point where my body's not going to work and I'm not going to be able to do this work forever. So I have to be able to have people go out and do the work. And fortunately, I'm personable enough to where I can just deal with the customers, talk to them, sell the job, and then send a technician out to go take care of the job for me. that's kind of where I plan on getting with it. And even if I can find somebody to replace me and just do the sales, that'd be great. But yeah, no real wrong time. And I wish our schools pushed this a little bit harder on us instead of college, because think about, you're 21, 22 right now thinking about becoming a plumber. You were in the same exact position as me. I didn't think about that stuff when I was in high school. I didn't even think about it when I was in college, even though, strangely enough, I had those skills already just from the other things I had worked on. But never once was one of my teachers like, hey, why don't you think about going to a vocational school, to go work on cars or to become an electrician? None of this was ever told to me. I was always told, like, hey, you got to go to college if you want to be successful. That's the only way you're going to get a real job, is to go to college. I went to college. I did the 4 years. It was cool. I got a business degree. Didn't really use it much. I found out when I got out of school, everybody wants somebody with experience, and the pay fucking sucked for what was out there. I was fine taking the $10 an hour at Mr. Rooter, playing with sewage all day, instead of taking the same pay at, for some management position at like Dollar Tree or whatever was out there in that city I was in. There were no jobs out there whatsoever. But also, I didn't apply myself to those desk job type positions because I know I'm not that type of person. If you're somebody that knows that you don't want to sit behind a desk, this is the greatest field you could get into. And that's why I talk about it all the time too, because everybody doesn't want to do that rat race and sit behind a computer all day, running numbers or jotting information, whatever it is people that sit behind a computer do. Plumbing, you get to go out in the field every day. I go to 3 to 5 different houses. I'm talking to 3 to 5 different people, aside from the people I work with. I can go take lunch where I want to. I'm all around the city. So now I'm also, not only am I not just in one location seeing the same thing all the time, I'm getting to learn my city. I'm getting to see where all the spots are. I get to see where places are that I want to go eat, or whatever it may be, or even like some random kick it spots. It's like you're out and about. You're out in the real world all day. You're not stuck behind a glass looking at a computer. But if you are the type of person that's cool with sitting behind a desk and working on a computer, there's plenty of jobs in the plumbing world for you. Like I touched on earlier about getting into sales, building blueprints, doing isometric design, administrative work for these plumbing companies, working for the supply houses, working for like Rigid or Milwaukee, working for those companies. You can get a little bit more of a desk job, and that's totally cool, because you're always going to have something that you can fall back on. But if you're built for it, go for it. That's all. It's as simple as that. And I really wish that when I was in school growing up, somebody had told me about trade schools, because 100% I would have went for that instead of going to college for 4 years. That would have been right up my roster instead of doing that. And plus, college, as you know, you get all that debt when you come out of college. And whether you get a job or not, you got to pay that back. Go to plumbing school, even if you do pay for it out of pocket yourself, it's probably not going to cost you more than $8,000 to $10,000 for 4 years. That's cheaper than any school. Even like out here, we got Tri-C, which is our community college. It's more expensive than $10,000 for 4 years, that's for sure. But they offer plumbing programs out here. And that's one thing I found in my research too. So like if you're looking for schools or looking for programs so you can start learning plumbing and you're not actively working for a company right now, check out your local community colleges. Majority of them, from what I was finding, offer some sort of plumbing or like electrical or HVAC course that you can take. And like the classes I took at ABC, everybody in there is about 20 of us. They all worked for different companies. So let's say you don't work for anybody, but you want to go to school and learn how to become a plumber. Well, network with those people in your class, and I guarantee you'll get a job out of it that way. Like if I wanted to leave the company I was working for, I could have very easily went off and worked with one of the other guys. And funny enough, my teacher, he actually owned his own plumbing business. And if I wanted to, by the time I was done with school, I guarantee you I could have went and worked with him. But they're not allowed to piss that to you because at the place where I went to school, Associated Builders and Contractors, you're supposed to have already been working with the company and they're the ones that are supposed to sponsor you. Typically, they're not going to take somebody in who's now currently working for somebody. But I guarantee you, because there's a lack of students out there, if you apply at one of these schools, they'll take you in. Like I know Tri-C will. They'll put you through their plumbing courses. And that's where it's just until I get this paperwork done and get it out there on my website, it's a simple Google search for plumbing jobs, vocational schools. Those are the things you're going to be looking for to find classes or to find jobs to work for. Like I said, apply yourself, go to different interviews, try to get as much pay as you can. The one guy I got working for me, I started him at $20 an hour and he had very little plumbing experience. You know, he was working in apartment buildings, doing that kind of work, like maintenance type stuff, which he learned a lot. He learned a little bit about electrical, a little plumbing, a little HVAC. So he's kind of well-rounded. So all I have to do is catch him up to speed with how I operate at my company. But because he already had that basic knowledge, I was already able to start him at a little bit higher pay scale. And it can be the same for you, even if you don't know much. But yeah, simple Google search, Indeed, Job Monster. You will see how many companies out there are currently hiring. And I break this down in a couple of my videos too. If you go back to my YouTube channel, I have a couple videos where I actually show you and give you a breakdown of jobs out there. I think on one of them, I went to either Monster Jobs or Job Search, whichever one of the major ones was. And I walked everybody through how, like, what jobs to look for, what the pay scale was at some of these companies. So you can go back and reference some of those videos if you want to see how to apply at these jobs, what to look for. I give a whole breakdown on that. Like I said, I got a couple other videos getting into that where it's a little more in depth. So feel free to check those out. Like I said, don't be afraid to ask for higher pay scale. Don't be afraid to bounce around and try different jobs. Don't be afraid to get dirty. You know, you're going to work hard. You're going to get a little dirty. I come home smelling like shit some days. It's all good. I clean up well. You go take a shower, and you look at that paycheck at the end of the day, you're like, okay, this actually isn't too bad. And here I am drinking coffee at 10:30 on a Sunday. I'm going to be in trouble for work tomorrow. Jesus Christ. But yeah, I think I'm going to hop off of here. If you guys want, I'll stick around for a couple more minutes. If you want to drop some comments, ask some questions, I'd love to see it in the chat. Let's see what else, if I can touch on anything in here. I pretty much touched on it. All right. One other thing I'll talk about too is, like, if you need reassurance on really becoming a plumber, is this a great thing? You're on YouTube watching me clearly, right? Pay attention to some of the other people that you watch out there, some of the bigger people. Like, I guarantee you will catch a time where they talk about good career paths. Everybody wants to get rich, obviously, right? Everybody wants success for the most part. Everybody wants to become a millionaire, blah, 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 blah. There's a reason why only 5% of our population is up there. The other 95% of us have to figure out a way to get up to that point, right? Whether you really want that, or if you're fine with just having like a good lifestyle, which plumbing can provide for you. But you'll hear a lot of these people talking about, on YouTube, where plumbing is a very good career path. It's very solid. You get good pay. We're above the averages. Guarantee you'll be making more than the majority of your teachers. Like, if you look at a teacher salary, they're about $40,000 a year. If I go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I can tell you right now the average plumber is right around 58 to 62,000. If you're in California, Texas, New York City, your pay is going to be even higher than that. You're going to be hitting closer to 100,000 just for average salary, if not more. The money out here is ridiculous. And that's why I push too, starting your own business. That money is just like when you start seeing what you guys charge at a plumbing company for jobs, you'd be like, why would I not do this? Why would I not start the side business of this, or me and some people get together and start building this out? It is by far the greatest thing that had ever happened to me. That's for sure. I wouldn't take it back for one thing. I will touch on one other thing too. You know how I was talking about how you get dirty, and plumbing is very hard on the body depending on what you get into. I think it's important that, and this really goes for any field, but no matter the job, really, hit the gym, work out. Even like me, I don't really have time to go to the gym much anymore, but I work out at home a little bit. Strengthen yourself up, eat good, work out. It's going to make your body last a lot longer for sure. Like I noticed a huge difference myself when I started working out a little bit and trying to build up some. I'm not trying to bulk or get big. Like I'm a small guy. I'm not going to turn into Hulk or nothing like that. But I noticed a difference in the way my body felt on a daily basis when I'm done working 10, 12 hours a day. I'm not hurting anymore like I used to. So just a little tip, stretch yourself out before you start, do a little workout, do some push-ups, some sit-ups, get your blood flowing, get your body working a little bit. Don't eat junk food all day. Take care of yourself. Health is wealth, baby. And the longer you last too, obviously the more money you'll make. That's a simple math for you. But that's pretty much all I got for y'all tonight on this live. I think I'm gonna try to keep this going best I can. So look for me again next week. I'll post it on my channel. Probably next Sunday again. If I get a chance, I might do an earlier time. But you figure later in the day on Sunday, I'll probably be dropping another video. Hit me up any of my comments. Shoot me email if you guys want to see me talk about a particular topic or to dive into anything. I just did a video where I talked about my experiences as a plumber, my background, like all my licenses, all that fun stuff. So check that out. And like I said, feel free to ask those questions. Impressive drain cleaning. What's up, man? Dude, I think you should totally do it because you've already got your foot in the door when you're going to these houses, right? So you've already, whether you've paid for the leads or, it's by word of mouth, you're able to offer them that one single service, right? But you already got your foot in the door. You've created a contact. You've got a client based off of that. So now imagine if you could offer them another service. And for the most part, it's still within your wheelhouse. Drain cleaning and plumbing kind of go hand in hand together. So imagine, and I'm sure you've gone to some houses, you're cleaning their drains. Maybe they had a sewer backup. It ruined their water heater. Or, you might have had something else going on. Maybe there's a leaking water line at the house, or they have a toilet that's constantly flowing, or whatever it may be. They might need a simple repair. Now you can offer that service to them. And now you're double dipping on the property, and you're going to make additional money while you're there. And you didn't really have to pay for an additional lead. You've already got vans. I'm sure you got guys set up. It's completely within your wheelhouse, dude. I would say go for it. Obviously, find competent people, or if you're willing to train somebody from the ground up. Let me ask you this. If you want to go to your school, so you said you have the drain cleaning company. So are you the owner of it? Are you the running like the day-to-day operations? Or are you out there doing the work? Or are you doing both? Are you running the company and you're out there doing the work? because based off of your position there is honestly going to dictate the answer that I tell you. Because if you're, I don't know what state you're in, but if you're the owner, I would almost advise that you yourself get licensed if you're going to start doing the plumbing work. And what you're going to want to go after, though, is a plumbing contractor's license, the one that's going to allow you to pull permits. See. Baltimore. Okay, nice. Yeah, I know you guys are probably busy as hell out there, especially being in that location. You guys are around a lot of major cities. It's probably a great place to be in. With you being the owner, if you're going to get into plumbing, in my mind, there's two ways you can go about it. You yourself give the state a call and see what your requirements would be for you to become. You guys have a drain cleaning license? Oh, that's crazy. We don't need anything like that in Ohio. Well, we need a sewer builder's license. But if you have a plumbing contractor's license, I think it trumps that. But ours is a little bit different. It might be similar to, like, we don't need one for drain cleaning, but neither here nor there. So the two ways you could go about this, if you're the owner, either you try to get licensed yourself and you hold that plumbing license for the company. And if you already have a drain cleaning license, it might make that step a little bit easier for you. The other option would be is if you know anybody, or you could hire somebody who you would have to probably make them a partner of the business, but somebody who has that plumbing background that you can send to get tested with the state for them to get their plumbing license that you can use at the company. So that's pretty much how it was when I worked at Mr. Rooter at the one branch I was at. The owner of the franchise didn't hold the license. There was a partner in the company that held the plumbing license. And because of him, we were able to pull permits and do that kind of stuff. The drain cleaning, sewer rebuild, pulling permits for water heaters, that kind of stuff. Personally, if you're the owner, you've already got a lot on your plate. Personally, I would, like me as the owner, I like holding that license because I know if I hired somebody or created a partner who had that license, I'd probably be a little concerned. Like if they ever left, then now what? Now either I got to get the license or I got to get another partner or somebody else who has that license. But if you're going to start that plumbing division, definitely go the licensing route. You worked with me. Oh my God, bro. You worked with me at Adelio's? Hold on a minute. You got to drop your name in there because yes, bro, Mr. I broke my wrist and Sergio caught you bowling. Yeah, man, what's good, bro? So you started a drain cleaning business. Dude, that's what's up, man. How's that going for you out there? That's crazy. You know what? It's funny too. I think you told me at one point that you were actually watching my videos. So what are you guys? Damn, bro, I'm proud of you, man. That's what's up, dude. Damn, good stuff, dude. Good stuff, man. I'm glad you're out there doing your own thing. So are you guys like your drain cleaning? Is it kind of like at Adelio's? You got your own snakes, you're doing sewer jetting, all that stuff, or what do you get into? And are you doing sewer digs as well? Or are you just doing drain cleaning? My boy, Nick. So anybody watching this video, this guy, impressive drain cleaning. Me and him actually used to work together. This dude is phenomenal. And I guarantee you he can attest. If he's got his own draining cleaning company and he's only been doing it for 7 months and it's going great, no brainer. That's what I've been telling you guys the whole time. Only drain clean. Yeah, bro, you should definitely I would never tell you not to look into the plumbing. If you're doing really good with the drain cleaning, though, maybe just keep that as your main focus. Because I will tell you, on the plumbing side of it, and I'm sure you remember it at Adelio's, just think about the facility we had to have and just our plumbing room and all the different materials that we had to have and all that overhead, the office personnel, there is um, it becomes much more difficult, honestly. I like even myself, I just keep a trailer stocked and I got some stuff in my garage, but there's a huge amount of overhead that goes into it. You're going to have lower margins, and the work is. I mean, you remember. I don't know if you remember how it was of me running around doing that stuff. It's more time consuming versus instead of focusing on both drain cleaning and trying to build up a plumbing division, focus on just the drain cleaning and get into doing the sewer digs. Honestly, in my opinion, I kind of wish I focused a little bit more on that route because think like, especially from a material standpoint, an overhead standpoint, you got a dump truck, an excavator, a camera, a couple sewer cleaning machines, and maybe a jet. What and some pipe. What else do you need? Like that's your overhead right there, aside from a building and some of your bills. You know what I mean? Versus plumbing, I mean, I probably got 1,000 different material pieces in my van just between water lines and sewers and all that stuff. It's a headache. But if you can build that sewer cleaning division up to a point where you don't really have to have much oversight on it, and then you can focus on the plumbing side. You could also do like what goes on a lot out here is like some of these smaller mom and pop companies. Like there's one around the corner from me. They're called Donco, and they mostly do HVAC, but they just merged with another plumbing company. So now that they're both partners together at this time, and you can do it that way. So if you got to a point money wise, or if you've got connections with buddies out there who own a plumbing company or want to start their own, you just have that whole separate division and you have minimal oversight on it. You leave that up to a manager or somebody else to build that up. And that's where they would hold the license for that. Bro, you got a Jetta already? Man, I'm jealous, dude. I'm still trying to save up for a camera, which if I did more drain cleaning, I would probably get into that. But I do a lot of like sinks, kitchen sinks, labs, things like that. I don't do a whole lot of major sewers, and I don't advertise for it either, just because I don't really have that equipment. That's definitely a goal of mine, though, at my company to get to that point where I have a camera and I have all that equipment. But, people don't want to go out there and get dirty and do that nasty sewer work. That lining, though, is something else, man. I just went out to the wet show out in Indianapolis. And I don't remember if you went to one at Adelio's. I'm sure you've been to some and you've seen all that different equipment that they have nowadays. Dude, it's going to get to the point where we don't even have to dig sewers anymore. You just send that. Oh, yeah, you used to do it at Adelio's. Matter of fact, some of that sewer line and stuff there. Bro, it's getting big. It's getting huge, man. Pipelining is like the new thing, and it's so cost effective. But you remember how it goes. It's about finding those right materials and the right setup for the job. Because all of our trial and errors, I don't even know if they still do it at Adelio's, but that was a nightmare watching them try to get through that stuff, dude. But from when I go to the trade shows and see some of the technology that they have out there, they make it look so simple. It's like, oh, that's kind of a no-brainer. Even a lot of the drain cleaning equipment that's coming out nowadays. Yeah, exactly. So, and that's where it becomes hard to compete if you've got everybody around you offering pipelining solutions, which we know is cheaper than digging, but you're the only one. If you're still digging out there, then that's a problem. That's where companies get phased out if you can't keep up with the technology. And the equipment, honestly, in my opinion, is not that expensive either. I mean, it's cheaper getting lining equipment than it is buying an excavator and a dump truck. Shit, you'll spend 80 grand just on that setup, and that's for used equipment. That's not even anything brand new. Bro, that's even slick too. So you're just getting, you're selling that job. See, check this out, people. So this is my boy Nick is doing. He's doing sewer cleaning. And from what I understand from you, because I kind of get where you're coming from on that, because I know people that do that, he's getting sewer jobs where he's going out cleaning a sewer. And if he's finding a broken pipe, instead of him doing the actual dig, he's subcontracting it out to another company. I guarantee you he's getting paid on that. He's probably getting, not, I wouldn't call it a referral, but if you send that, yeah, exactly. You're sending that other company out there. They're putting a check in your pocket because now they're out there doing the dig, and you didn't have to do any work. No, I mean you just had to do the drain cleaning, and they take care of all the hard work. They're the ones with all the overhead on it. You know, I don't know what your compensation is like for them. You don't have to get into that or anything, but are you the one responsible for selling the dig, or do you just tell your customer like, hey, like I've tried snaking it, I've tried jetting it, the sewer is clearly broken, call this person, they're gonna come out, like televise it, tell you where it's broken and how to handle it? Is that how it works, or do you actually sell the dig first, like for a price, and then that company comes out and does it? You know what I mean? Damn, bro, I'm glad you're watching this, man. So you were on the last video too. My boy Nick. Oh my god, dude. I mean, you were a fun one at Adelios, dude. He's having a good time. And this is what, see, Nick understood the business side of it and get into it, that it's like there's so much money to be made out there that if you're built for it, you can do the business side. I mean, the work just comes to you. Like, I guarantee you, Nick, I'd be surprised if you have to do a whole lot of advertising, or pay for leads or anything like that. Oh, you're doing insurance jobs too, man. Banking over there, bro. See, you know me, I'm a yes guy. If I come across a job like, oh yeah, I'm the one that can do it. I haven't learned that whole subcontracting it out to people. I don't. I want the money. I don't want to pass it off to other people. Even though I have given Adelios a couple jobs that are like bigger. So for those of you who are watching, I know kind of going back and forth with one of my buddies, but if I do come across bigger jobs that I can't handle, I will sub that out to somebody else. I will send that job their way and in return get something back from them. And I don't even have to touch it. And I know that I'm sending it to somebody solid who's going to take care of them for me. That's good though, bro, man. I'm proud of you, dude. How many people you got working for you right now? Or is it just you doing it? See, and this is what I love so much about plumbing, because it's more than just getting into service and doing some of this like dirtier work, or like having to know everything about water, gas, and sewers. Like, he's in a very specific field and he's making it work for him. And that's what it's all about. If you could find that niche and something that you're good at, and you're going to make a killing doing it. Like you say, he's out there competing with 20 other companies, but he's still doing good, because even though you got 20 other companies, it's still not enough, because enough people aren't doing this out here. And whether you want to be the worker or the business owner, it doesn't matter. We're all needed in this field right now. It doesn't make a difference. So I've been debating that. So that's cool you're working with your brothers, man. I actually had my brother working with me for, God, probably like 8 to 9 months. But me and him, you know how they tell you don't work with family and friends? Yeah, I learned a hard lesson on that. Me and him had a pretty big falling out, unfortunately. But you said you got a labor from an agency. So can you elaborate on that at all? Like, I know we have like Minutemen and some places around here. Has that actually worked out for you? Because that's what I wonder, if I should go that route. Because like I've said, it's hard finding people out here, qualified people too. But I'll be back in 2 seconds. All right, man. Oh man, dude, when you get to be the tender age of 33, geez, your bladder turns into that of a 2-year-old. Well, especially with as much coffee as I drink. D Rex, what's good, man? That's what, dude. That's what I was thinking. Like Minuteman, I remember some of the places I've been around, and they would hire Minutemen people, and I'm like, I would never. Like, I feel like they would ruin my business if I hired them, unless they were directly with me for the day. Oh, that's cool. Hey, so Nick, what's the name of that company that you're using for hiring those people? Because I know like the ones around here that I'm familiar with, they kind of have general labors in their network, but honestly, dude, it's kind of like I was telling D Rex, man, some of these people, I would not let them on my job site. It's like a huge liability. I don't play, like you can't be on the job smoking weed or coming in hungover and just acting like an asshole. Like I'm too personal with my customers, and I'm pretty small. Like I've got a good customer base of the last time I checked, I was just under 250 customers that I have at this point. But a lot of it's word of mouth and very minimal advertising. So I have a very tight connection with these people, and I could not bring it upon myself to just send anybody to their homes. But that's also something that I have to work through on my own too. It's kind of like I'm definitely one of those people that feel like I need to do all the work because I know if I'm doing it, it's going to get done 100% correct. But I have to learn how to relinquish that stuff onto other people, which it's one of those growing pains, and just trying to it's figuring yourself out as well too, and being able to be with somebody else out there doing the work for you. D Rex, Stan, is that? Hold on, D Rex. What? I know I recognize that name from somewhere, man. Drop your name real quick, because I feel like I know who you are. Like I recognize the name, and I got Stan, but I don't know if I'm right on that. Bro, and you're using Thumbtack. Yeah, Stan, man, Stan, what's up, dude? I appreciate you hopping in here and checking out the video, man. Look at y'all, all my little homies coming in here. I like this. This is what I like to see, dude. Let's get in here and talk about this stuff. Stan, you understand how important this stuff is, man. But yeah, dude, I'd love to hear from your sister. Have her reach out to me, man. I'll get her taken care of. All right, so Nick, you got a private company you're dealing with, and you found them through Thumbtack. It's funny you even put that on there. I've actually used Thumbtack for quite a bit of my advertising. Like whenever I hit my slowdown periods, I'll turn my Thumbtack on and get jobs through that way. I don't know if you've tried Home Advisor or Angie's Leads. I used to use those a little bit, but I got away from them because I was having much better experience with them. But it's interesting you found them that way. I'm gonna have to check that out. Interesting though. That's good to know because yeah, I know me. Like, dude, when I found my main person that I got working with me, I put a Craigslist out for somebody, and I got a call from probably about 6 different people, which I was actually kind of surprised. I thought it'd be a lot less, but I picked the one that had the best interview and sounded the most articulate when it came to plumbing, and he's been working out great. Yeah, so from my understanding too, you're talking about I haven't used Yelp yet and Angie's Leads, which I believe they're the same as Home Advisor now. I think they're all one and the same. But Thumbtack I noticed was charging a lot less for leads. I don't know what you're paying, but when I'm on there, I think on average I'm paying $8 to $12 for a lead on there. Like it's relatively cheap. And I noticed that the success rate just comes from how well you're able to sell the job to the customer, and you know how good that connection is. But they come through. You know, I love Thumbtack, man. Really? See, I haven't looked into it that much. I just posted my stuff on there, but I don't. I use them actually to find a drywall person and not an electrician, a carpenter at one point. And I got some pretty good people. I mean, they were a little on the expensive side, but I will say they did a good job. So I got no complaints there. I'm gonna have to check that out though, man. But yeah, Thumbtack. So anybody in here that ends up watching the video or checking it out, if you have your own business or even if you're looking at doing side work, kind of like what I did when I was working at the same company Nick and I were working at, I did after hours. So I would work pretty much from 7 in the morning to like 4 or 5 p.m. at the main company where I was getting my main paycheck from. And then I would use Thumbtack or another lead source to get jobs that I would then do after work or on the weekends. And that worked out really well. I would only spend maybe $30 a week on ads, $30 to $40, depending on where I had it set at. But generally that would net me at least an additional 500 to sometimes a couple grand a week just based off of those leads. So anybody in here watching that has your own company, if you're looking for a good lead source, Thumbtack is a great way to go. Angie's Leads is also a pretty good one. I have zero experience with Yelp, but I would say check it out as well too. It's not going to hurt you. It's all learning experience too. That's one of the fun things about getting into business is you figure out what works for you, what works for your business, what direction you have to go with things. And you're just watching it being built and you're the one building it. And Nick, I'm sure you can attest to it, just knowing that your personal hard work and going into it and building something like that is like one of the greatest achievements. And I don't know about you personally, but like, I remember when I was working at Adelio's, I'd wake up, every day I was like, man, I don't feel like going to work today. I don't feel like doing this shit. I really don't want to deal with these people. And I used to feel like that, like almost every day going to work for them. But ever since I went on my own and started my own business, I've never felt that way, not once. And there's been plenty of weeks where, I'm working 7 days in a week. I'm putting in 12, 14 hours a day. And never once during that period have I been like, man, I hate this. I don't want to get up and go to work today. Like when you're at the helm of it all and dealing with it, dude, it's a totally different feeling. That accomplishment is something else, and just growing that business and taking those steps and getting to the next level, man. It's an amazing thing, dude. I love it. Absolutely love it. Oh, great. Look at me fucking on my hair, man. It's getting late, dude. What are y'all doing up? It's Sunday at 11 o'clock. Do y'all not have jobs to go to tomorrow? What is this? Nick, you must start late, don't you? Need to take a shower and wash my ass, dude. I was lucky, man. My wife got the kid in the bed for me tonight. I'm able to sit here and talk to y'all. But man, yeah, I would never take any of this back. Or any experience at companies I've worked at. Bro, it doesn't stop ringing, man. Yo, speaking of which, you don't do much plumbing, dude. But this, I think y'all got hit with that cold spell that we got hit with too out here, where we had that freezing like 3 days right before, or like right around the Christmas time, where it got like -20 out here, dude. My phone was nonstop day before Christmas, day after. It was crazy. Absolutely nuts, dude. The phone doesn't stop. In wintertime, this is supposed to be my slow period, but the phone will not stop ringing. I'm not complaining. I just need more people to get out here. Yeah, I'm sure. So think about like if you had a plumber working with you that just did like water line repairs or basic stuff. So like that might be a good route for you. If you could find somebody that just does like toilet rebuilds, water heater installs, basic water line repairs, you could probably keep that person busy and even then get them a laborer and then have another crew doing that stuff too. Because that's honestly, it's all kind of like easy stuff at the end of the day when you think about it. Like that stuff isn't hard. It's the stack repairs. It's the adding in a bathroom and rerouting plumbing. That's the tough stuff. Yeah, I know you're a night owl. Dude, you always have been a night owl. Even growing up, dude, you were always up late. That's I That's hard for me. That's why I'm drinking coffee right now, dude. It's gonna be tough for me going to bed. But dude, shout out to you getting ready to start a karate school. Man, that's dope. I think that's a great thing. And I actually want to, if you know anybody that's doing classes or any of that stuff, I need to get my daughter into that, dude. That kid is so active. I got her doing gymnastics right now and everything, but she needs to do something. She's always hitting me and beating me up, bro. She needs to do karate or something. She's gonna be hitting people, you know. But dude, I keep pulling that up, man. I'm proud of you, Stan. Yeah, and that's what it's funny you say that too, because I thought you used to do Stan, I thought you used to do construction or like working on houses, doing that kind of stuff like carpentry, things like that. I don't know why you got out of it, dude. I don't know why, man. It's good living, bro. I'm sure it's kind of like tough on the body depending on what you're doing, but it's a great avenue to be in for sure. Nick, I appreciate you stopping in, man. You take it easy as well, bro. I'm sure I'll be seeing you on the next one. I'll be keeping an eye out for you now. Now that I know what your company name is. Appreciate it always, man. But Stan, you should tell. I mean, karate's a good route too, though. There's always people looking for that, so I'm not gonna steer you away from that. But as you know, too, you were in construction working on houses. Constant, especially being here in Cleveland in an older city, there's a constant need for work to be done here. It's absolutely incredible. But I'm actually, oh my God, I've been on here for almost an hour and a half. I'm gonna get rolling off of here too. I appreciate everybody that stopped in here, dropped a comment. My boy Nick, my boy Stan, Killer Rob, 23. Thank you all for jumping in. You all had some great input. I'm hoping to see y'all on the next video as well too. Like I said, I'll probably be doing something this coming weekend as well. Actually, maybe not. I'm actually leaving out of town. So depending on what time I get back, I might pop in and do a little something, but keep an eye out for me. If you got questions, want to find out how you find plumbing jobs, if you want access to my list that I have rolling right now, let me know. I'd be more happy to email that over to you or send it your way. Drop some comments. Let me know what type of content you want to see, what you'd like me to talk about on the business end or whatever it may be. But I appreciate you all stopping by and watching my video. Y'all have a good night. Peace.